Teddy has the fight plan, brought to you by Corona Extra.
You got different horses for courses. Some are built for speed, some for distance. And of course, styles make fights. Tonight, a sprinter versus a closer in our main event. Let's get in the saddle right now and find out exactly who's gonna cross the finish line first. I'm gonna be Burgos. Well, he's younger, he's faster, he's fighting Cruz. Burgos gonna look the box, keep Cruz off balance a little bit. But Cruz is always coming forward, always looking for that looping right hand. So, if you're Burgos, pull back on the reins a little bit. Step back off the jab, get him to reach with that looping right hand, bang, counter left hook. If you're Burgos and you do that, you're going right to the winner's circle. And you, hate to tell you, you're going to the glue factory. All right, now how's Cruz gonna get out of the barn and into the winner's circle? Well, he's gotta set the pace, and he's gotta try to catch Mr. Burgos down the stretch. And he's gotta do it with this, the right hand, the looping right hand. There's two ways you can do it. Let's see right here. One is, I think that Cruz can jab to the body, get Burgos to straighten up a little bit, set him up. Jab to the body, bang, come right up top with that looping right hand. And then he can go to the whip. Thank you. Go to the whip, not with you, but I'll go to the right hand. Look for him to lead with that left hook in front. He does that every once in a while. He looks to lead with that left hook a little fat, bang, right inside. Well, if you cruise and you do that, you're gonna have the last hee-haw, or the last laugh. You like anybody tonight?
Yes, I do. Best not get in my way.
We'd never want to do that. Wouldn't want to bet on that horse either.
Saul looked to be a little nervous there when Teddy picked up the riding crop.
I'd never go to the whip on Saul. It's not necessary anyway. Never have to motivate Saul.
Burgos, number 10, according to ESPN.com, at 126 pounds. We told you he's number 10 at 130 pounds for Ring Magazine. Ring experience, well, Cristobal Cruz. All these years, all the rounds, 423 rounds as a 20-year veteran pro.
Cristobal, protégete todo el tiempo. Obedece mis instrucciones de todo el tiempo. Toca guantes.
Gary Rosado, veteran referee here for Cruz, and Burgos scheduled for 10.
Well, let me tell you some ring information, some ring stats that I think is most important tonight. The heads.
Ready.
Cruz comes in there with his head. 2 of his last 3 fights, he's been cut. And the fights have been stopped on technical draws. He was cut very badly on the forehead in his last fight. That can really come into play to interrupt this match tonight. Scar tissue over the eyes of Cruz. Cruz has a tough style, rough style. He's been penalized for headbutts, throwing his opponent to the canvas. Hey, what you see is what you get. He comes forward and he tries to make a fight of it. Burgos should be boxing a little bit. He's tall, he's long, he should be using that jab, controlling the outside. If he doesn't win on the outside, well, he's not winning that.
Looks every bit of the 4-inch height advantage, doesn't it, to see those 2 guys in there right now?
Yes, it does. As we said, Cruz has not won in his last 3, 1 loss and 2 technical draws. Most of the fights for Cruz in Mexico.
Burgos turned pro in his native Mexico as a teenager as well. He was 16 back in December of 04. Cruz turned pro, we told you, at age 14.
I talked about Cruz being penalized in fights. Well, Burgos, he's been penalized for low blows. Burgos likes to go to the body. Only loss for Burgos was a world title try. And most of his fights also have been in Mexico.
Takes a little while for Cruz to get in gear. When he does, well, don't look to your left, don't look to your right, just look in the middle of the screen, because that's where he's coming. Right down the middle.
There he comes straight ahead.
And again, he comes with big punches, with fat punches. It's going to be up to Burgos to counter those misses. Again, good control of the distance by Burgos, seeing those punches coming from left field and right field, but not throwing the counter. Make them miss, you want to make them pay. It's going to come down to the movement, the versatility, the dimensions of Burgos versus the one-way style, the toughness of Cruz.
Moments ago, before Cruz came barreling in, we saw the distance of Burgos being able to put that jab out there. Coming to the end of round one, scheduled for 10.
Well, this is half of how you control distance. You step out, you make the guy miss, but the other half is missing. Mr. Burgos, you're supposed to counter. Make him pay a price.
Round two between Burgos and Cruz. Burgos coming off that impressive win against the then unbeaten prospect Louis Cruz. That was this past November underneath Pacquiao Marquez. Cruz, we told you, they've been fighting occasionally in recent years after giving away with the IBF world title. The warning there from Gary Rosado. And then fought on our air at the end of last summer. But a huge gash opened up on his forehead, so that fight was cut short in the midst of the fourth round. And went as a technical draw against Art Hovhannissian.
Both these fighters know each other, Joe. They've sparred many rounds together. I would think the advantage would be, believe it or not, some people wouldn't agree, would be for Burgos because he's younger. And I would have to think he's improved since they last sparred. Cruz hasn't changed much. The same. Tough guy, gonna come in. And he's gonna win.
So he takes a little bit to warm up. Now, consider him warm here in the midst of the second round as he's picked up the pace and now coming forward with more consistency.
Burgos has had hand problems with both hands, especially the right.
Good job by Burgos that time as he scored it when Cruz came forward.
On Burgos, I'm trying to do the same thing that Perez did against Santana in our first fight. Take advantage of inactivity by Cruz. Cruz 6.5 months since his last fight. Before the last fight, he was off 1 year and 3 months. Burgos, he's been active. He was in the ring 3.5 months ago. So while Cruz is trying to get rid of some of that rust, get his legs under him a little bit, again, Burgos should be taking advantage, putting some rounds in the bank.
Right hand after that jab came up just short by Burgos.
Burgos steps out, he doesn't step in. You know, I bet you Burgos doesn't know anything about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
How so?
He puts the peanut butter on, he steps out, but no jelly.
No jelly, huh?
The back of his head.
That gets dry.
Just peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. Very dry. And in the ring, what that translates to is Cruz doesn't pay a price, he's going to keep coming forward. And eventually he's going to hit you.
Break. Step back. No point us in the face.
How do you make it?
Well, Cruz figures you're not going to make me pay a price throwing wide punches. All right. You know what? I'll keep throwing them. And eventually I'm going to land one. I missed 2. I landed a little bit of a right hand there, did Cruz.
Just an open invitation if you're not going to fill those holes. Cristobal Cruz, the guy who likes to come forward with those wide punches. Shorter guy at 5'6" against the taller top 10 ranked Juan Carlos Burgos, ranked in the top 10 according to ESPN.com and Ring Magazine. That time, the right uppercut from Burgos as Cruz stepped forward. It just missed. It was glancing.
A lot of miles on both these fighters, not just in the pros, but in the gym, in the ring, as you said. Unbelievable. Cruz turned pro in Mexico at 14. Burgos turned pro also in Mexico at 16. Cruz has been around 20 years. Burgos, 7.
Cruz turned pro in January of 1992. January of 1992.
Who's president?
He turned pro. George Bush.
Oh, you're good. You are good.
Meanwhile, Burgos was born in December of 87.
Little sneaky left hook to the body by Burgos there.
As is your trivia.
Jeopardy, here we come.
Or that would be George H.W. Bush, former first baseman for the Yale Bulldogs.
Wow.
No punch, no punch.
You gotta get some sports trivia in there, right?
Head of the CIA.
That's right.
No jab. We got plenty of sports trivia, but we don't have jabs from Burgos.
And you would think that that would be the chief weapon.
It should be. He's taller, he's longer. He wants to control that space. No better way than use that stick. No stick, but Burgos looking to counter as Cruz comes. The problem, you wait too long to get those counter opportunities. Cruz comes, you're not ready, and he gets in. You should be using that jab to hold Cruz a little bit.
What a strange exchange that was, though, Teddy. As he lands that right hand, and that is being ruled a slip.
But that could be a knockdown.
I want to see that on replay, Teddy.
Technically, that's a knockdown.
Exactly. The punch looked like it landed that right hand to the body as he was off balance there.
If a punch lands, no punch landed that time, just a little shove, I think. And don't tell me he's going to count this.
Now this is going to go the other way. No, of course not.
No, he's just going to clean the gloves, make sure there's no residue on those gloves that could get in the eye. But just before that, when Cruz went down, it looked like there was a body shot just before he went down. And the rules are, you get hit, you go down, whether the punch shakes you up or not, it's kind of a knockdown.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back and show you the replay, and we'll see if indeed it should have been ruled a knockdown or not.
Watch this knockdown here, or was it knockdown? Their feet get very close there, and I think maybe the right foot pulls the left foot forward of Cruz, but a punch lands, and Cruz goes down.
And from what I could see there, Teddy, it's not Burgos's foot on top of Cruz's foot, as if he's stepping on his foot and it caused a slip. It's the other way around. It's Cruz who gets part of his foot on top of Burgos, but a punch did land there, and then the end result is that Cruz was on the canvas.
No, I agree with you with that, but I saw Cruz's foot, or I should say Burgos's foot, behind Cruz's foot and maybe coming forward and taking him off balance. Off balance again. A lot of off balance so far.
And now Rosado's trying to control this situation here as we start round number 4. Important fight in the career of both men.
You know, I alluded to it early, Joe, right at the top. Cruz gets involved in ugly fights. He's got a rough style. That's what he is. He'll come forward with his punches, with his elbows a little, with his head. His legs fall in. He's got no balance. But he's always coming forward, always chucking leather. And right now, Burgos not taking control. I was saying it in the last round. I know he's looking for counters. He's looking to step out of range. He's looking to let Cruz create openings for him. Let Cruz do some of his work for Burgos. You know, Cruz throws wide. He leaves himself open in space a little bit. Burgos is looking for those spots. But he's got to move those hands more.
He's having some success going to the body when Cruz comes in.
What Burgos is not doing, he's not creating offense on the front end.
No, none at all. It's all established and determined by what Cruz does coming in.
It's all on the back end, right there. Counter opportunities, as you said, when Cruz comes in, a little fat, a little sloppy. Burgos looking to fill those holes, but there's spots where Cruz, before he comes in, like now, he lays in front. That's where Burgos should create something off that jab.
There's a right hand by Cristobal Cruz. And that time Burgos meets him. Ducked under that time, and an uppercut was waiting from Burgos.
Well, Cruz does do some of your work for you. You know,
meet you halfway.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you got to look for ways, use your imagination, strain your mind to create offense.
Off his hand, off his hand.
Not so much with Cruz. He gives you those ideas. He gives you those openings. He just comes in wide open. Burgos looking for those counters, but he better be careful that he doesn't lead with his own left hook in front. He does that sometimes. Then the right hand of Cruz, the punch that's always coming, could be there.
End of 4 here. Friday night fights here in Dover, Delaware, where the former heavyweight champion of the world is ringside. Fans getting their pictures and a few autographs from Big Daddy, Riddick Bowe.
Always had a great punch and a great smile, great personality.
And a couple of the more memorable fights in the recent era of the heavyweights. You know, it's really sad to think that the heavyweight division made such mainstream news this week and was being covered by a lot of the talk and opinion sports shows during the weekdays for nothing to do with anything that happened in the ring at all. We had a heavyweight championship fight, and the only reason it made news among the mainstream sports media was because of what happened before the fight and then disgracefully after the fight in the post-fight press conference.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I wasn't asked to talk about the fight, but if I was, I'll tell you what I would have said was, as far as in the ring, it was the ineffective aggression of Chisora versus the effective retreating of Klitschko. Now, look, I am not and haven't been a big fan of the Klitschkos, but I give them credit for the last, almost the last decade being the most dominant heavyweights, the most effective heavyweights with their style. They found a way to dominate with that style. But I'm giving them credit now for showing great restraint and class this past weekend, because the sport would have really been more diminished if Klitschko, when he got smacked in his face at the press conference, went crazy. He didn't do anything, and he stopped something from getting ugly. And then in the ring, his brother was standing there, and I don't know why there was no...
Off his hand.
Really, no security. I mean, does boxing want these things to happen? The promoters want these things to happen? I know they like the press of it, but it's bringing the sport down. When that water got spit into Vitaly Klitschko's face, I don't know too many people, Joe, that would have shown the restraint and class that he did, and he didn't do anything. He could have cracked Chisora right there. There would have been no heavyweight title fight. No fight. And right now, no knockdown. No knockdown. But it could have been no fight right there if Klitschko would have just hauled off and cracked Klitschko or cracked Chisora for spitting in his face. Give a lot of credit to the Klitschkos, again. But the sport has to do something to straighten that out, because it hurts itself. It makes the sport look really trashy. Not right, not classy. Doesn't give credit to the noble warriors that are out there when they do it right. Cruz doesn't do anything right with the punches, but he throws them. He throws them wide, he comes in all the time. But he's always chucking.
And something's going to stick. Cristobal Cruz, who had a real turnaround in his career. He was basically at one point a traveling opponent back in 03 and 04, he had lost 4 of 5 fights, and then there was a span in 06 and 07 when he lost 4 out of 6 fights, and then he won the IBF title at featherweight in 2008. Now here at 34 years old, taking on the 24-year-old top 10 ranked Juan Carlos Burgos, and ahead on Teddy's scorecard as it stands right now, starting the 6th round.
Yeah, Burgos, as you just touched on, putting his across the board ratings in the 3 organizations on the line. Number 2 by the WBC, he's rated number 9, or number 4, I should say, by the WBA, and number 6 by the IBF.
Listen, his only loss was for a belt over in Japan against Hasegawa, and that was a very good effort that night and a very exciting fight. And then he had the win recently against Cruz that got a lot of attention. He scores well there, and Cruz goes down and is administered the count by Gary Rosado.
Hey, there you go. Venga acá.
You keep coming in wide, somebody will put something in your face. That's exactly what Burgos did.
And now holding behind the head by Cruz, as he'll have to survive the last 90 seconds here against the young, tall, strong Burgos.
Venga acá.
Cruz has a cut in the corner of his right eye.
And now blood is streaming down the side of his face. You see the corner of that right eye of Cruz. It is opened up there.
Now this round has been obviously all Burgos right now, a 10-8 round, but just a moment ago he led with that left hook. He did it again. He leads with that left hook right in front of Burgos. That's a no-no if a guy has a right hand, and Cruz does have a right hand, even though it's not straight. As you can see, it's pretty crooked. So it takes a little while to get there. Doesn't take the direct route.
And now once again with that hand behind the head. Last 40 seconds here. Went down early on in round number 6. Almost caught coming in that time again by Burgos.
Again, no using his length, no using his jab, Burgos, no creating offense, but he's getting plenty of chances to fill the holes. And Cruz comes in wide open. As we said earlier, Cruz just creates your openings for you. He gives them to you.
Best round of the night for the young Juan Carlos Burgos.
Thank you.
Here comes Cruz reaching in. All wide shots, squared up, and the left uppercut finds his chin. Take another look. Wide right hand, leaning forward, wide left hook. Leaning forward, and a left uppercut on the chin. We'll take another look. Again, wide right hand, off balance, wide left hook, left uppercut on the chin, little delayed reaction. And the legs, the 34-year-old legs, Joe, of Cruz cave in a little bit. He might be getting old right in front of us.
Tú solo has perdido este round, se pasa uno. Lo vas a presionar, ¿entendiste? ¿Entendiste? Dale boxeo, vámonos.
Vámonos indeed.
You know, Cruz, 34 years old, 55 fights. This is his 56th fight. A lot of miles on that odometer.
Last time he was knocked out was 2002. That was his 26th pro fight. This is his 56th professional fight.
Cruz has been stopped twice.
Happened back in 97 and 2002. So
I've said it many times, you never judge the age of a fighter chronologically. You judge it by the years he's been in the ring, the amount of punches he's taken in that squared circle. In that way, Cruz is starting to get old. And the legs are the first thing that start to go. We'll see if Burgos can make them go.
let's look at Teddy's scorecard. through 6 rounds. 10-8 round evens things up according to Teddy. 57-57.
Usually we have a saying as a trainer in the gym, Joe. When you try to create offense, never give up defense. Cruz breaks that rule. Every time he looks to create offense, he gives up defense. Now Cruz trying to do a little smarter things, use some of that experience, the former world champion, trying to time the right hand over the jab of Burgos instead of just winging it. Burgos still not doing enough, bouncing around, floating all over the place. I think he needs to set his feet. Control the outside. You can't control the outside if you're just floating. You can survive the outside floating, but you can't control it. You can't score. Needs to set his feet, control that outside. Be ready to punch inside the wide shots of Cruz. See, he wasn't ready to punch that time, Burgos, because he was moving on his feet.
When Cruz threw that left hand.
He's moving on his feet way too much, Burgos.
Oh, stop.
And that's a little bit of what we expect out of Cruz right there. Second warning from Gary Rosado.
Yeah, do you think Cruz knows who the Marcus of Queensberry is?
No.
Not a shot.
Good exchange here as they hit the hammer for the last 10 seconds of the round. That's a slip. NASCAR Nationwide Series at Daytona, presented by GoDaddy.com. Going to be with you Saturday on ESPN. Coverage will start at noon Eastern with NASCAR Nationwide Series countdown. Danica Patrick won the pole. Danica also had an interesting outing of hitting the wall pretty hard down there at Daytona. It is that time of the year. NASCAR will be underway. Chief second, a little slow to get out of the corner there. Juan Carlos Burgos, round 8, scheduled for 10. Joe and Teddy with you here in Dover, Delaware. So glad to have the undefeated 140-pound titleist Timothy Bradley with us in studio as he sizes up these guys that go 10 pounds south of him. How do you see it, champ?
Well, I see Juan Carlos Burgos winning this match. I think Cruz, you know, he's been aggressive, but he's been very ineffective. I think Juan Carlos Burgos needs to use his jab a little bit more. Maybe throw that big left hook that he landed in the last couple of rounds to knock down Cruz. But, I would really love to see that check hook. Cruz is coming in head first, hands low. And I think he'll be able to either pick him up with the uppercut or a left hook, man. It will end the night.
Yeah, just shorten it up a bit.
Shorten it up a bit. Oh, absolutely.
Good job in studio tonight by Timothy Bradley. Glad he's with us. Let's look at the CompuBox numbers. The punches through round 7. As Burgos, these are power punches. Burgos throwing 219, landing 42% of them. Came forward that time with a right hand, and then they tie up.
Plenty of opportunities for offense for Burgos in 2 different places. One, on the outside with counter opportunities, just punch inside those winging shots of Cruz. And then on the outside, you're taller, you're longer, use that jab, set up the right hand. You're taller, you're longer, you can punch on the outside. You can hit the shorter guy before he gets close enough to return the favor.
Punch your back. Break!
Everyone loves a left hook.
Break.
Burgos, there's chances for left hooks. There's chances for straight punches, really. When you got a guy like Cruz in front of you throwing all those fat punches. But again, I'm going to say it one more time. Burgos, sometimes he'll throw that left hook right in front. He leads and he exposes himself. Could be the chance Cruz needs.
Stop. Yo. No puño like that. No hagas eso, all right?
Cruz exposes himself with his wide shots. Every once in a while, Burgos will with his left hook. A little bit in front.
Burgos scored that knockdown in the 6th round. Hardly in command as we come to the end of the 8th. And that'll give us a chance to check in with Bernardo.
There was some injustice done, and my promotional company and my partner protest immediately based on watching the film and the outcome of the fight. And I think at the end, once it got into the right people's hands to vote and to look, that was it. It was the best evidence that a person can have to prove a point.
I would have fought Bernard Hopkins with one finger that night. One finger, and probably still would have won. But I'm not going to go on crying about that stuff. But this fight, I just want a fair fight. I want Bernard to come out and fight. I don't want no low blows, no headbutts, no. Let's just be two men, like the men we are, and let's fight.
Hopkins is 47 years old, and last I checked, Father Time was undefeated. Who wins this fight, Timothy?
Well, I think one word: tempo. I think that if Chad Dawson allowed Bernard Hopkins to control the tempo, I think he's going to have a lot of problems. If you have...
There's a knockdown.
Cruz scores the knockdown here early into round 9.
There you go. I was talking about it. Burgos was in control. Cruz makes a lot of mistakes. But Burgos makes a mistake every once in a while. He'll throw a wide shot in front of you, and he also goes straight back.
So now each man has been down. Keep in mind, Juan Carlos Burgos trying to hold on to his ranking as his career at 24 years old has been on the ascent. Ring Magazine top 10 at 130, ESPN.com top 10 at featherweight. And Burgos, the old, crafty 34-year-old recent title holder, looking to score this win.
Cruz looking to score the win.
Excuse me, Cristobal Cruz.
Exactly, I know what you meant. One thing about Cruz, he can bang a little bit, 23 knockouts and 39 wins, and he's always trying. But he needs, you know, it's kind of like a plane, needs a land, needs a runway to take off. Well, Cruz, because of his kind of punches, he needs a little runway to land them. And right now, Burgos gives him that runway. You know, he goes straight back. He's not moving his hands enough. And he lets Cruz come in with those wide shots. And if you keep going straight back, guess what? Cruz is going to keep coming and keep throwing. And if you're straight in front of him going back, you're going to get caught. It's like a plane needs that runway to take off. Cruz, give him a little runway, Joe. He's going to take off. You just don't want to give him that long piece of property, that strip, to get moving.
That's what he wants.
Yeah, you don't give that to him.
That big lead up with the wide shots.
Burgos is giving him that piece of land, that strip, to get a running start, to launch some of those big shots. Disappointing performance right here by Burgos. I know he was dropped, but he put himself in that position. He's just not doing enough. And again,
another right hand.
Gets caught with that right hand.
This is a heck of a round for Cristobal Cruz. Let's go back and show you the knockdown that was scored early in the 9th by Cruz.
Cruz comes in, he misses the right hand. That doesn't deter him. And a nice short. That time, right from the shoulder, not a wide shot. A short hook jab. You know, a jab and a hook right from the shoulder. Watch. Bang.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Didn't
nice
move, but about
compact.
6 inches.
Right from the shoulder, the way you want to do it.
¿Entiendes, Cristobal, ese último round? No te vayas a hacer para atrás. ¿Traes condición? Entonces, por favor, no me digas que no te has cansado. Necesito que hagas las cosas.
Another look at Cruz's moment there in the ninth.
And Burgos not punching, going straight back. And there's that nice little bit of an adaptation of a hook and jab right from the shoulder, right to the mark.
10th and final round.
Break. Yo. Watch the head.
Cruz presses on.
Pollo.
85-85, says Teddy.
We said right at the top, never count out.
That was on the belt line, and Cruz is going to take some time.
Maybe grab some time. 34 years old.
Agreed. That looked like it was just on the bottom part of the belt line.
55 fights, a lot of experience. Knows how to think in there a little bit. Yeah, it was on the belt line. I mean, it came up, and those punches coming up, they could be a problem, but
Ready to go?
not directly on the groin area. Coming up, hit him on the belt line, but when they come up, they can do damage. But only Cruz knows how much damage was done, and only Cruz knows if he's being smart here at 34 years of age and getting a little bit of a pit stop.
Okay? You got that. Okay? Ready to go? Time.
A short right hand on the inside by Cruz, and then a left hand comes up and lands flush against Burgos as well.
You know, earlier when the terrific champion Timothy Bradley was saying, I want to see that left hook from Burgos, I was thinking to myself, I'm not so sure. Because, as I said, Burgos, yeah, he's got a left hook, but he throws it in front of you, and he throws it in front of a right hand, and that means Cruz gets a chance. Now there's the left hook again, a good example of it. That time nothing was done. Cruz blocked again. But it was wide. It was in front of Cruz, and Cruz had a chance to pitch a right hand.
That time Burgos touches him.
Boxing is about not giving your opponent chances to land big shots, minimizing those opportunities. Creating offense, but again, not giving up defense.
Final minute in a fight in which each man has been down. Burgos thought of coming in as the guy with a lot of upside.
No jab from Burgos.
Hasn't been there all night.
No control on the outside, just looking for spots.
4-inch height advantage, but he's been waiting on the back end for Cruz to make those openings for him.
Exactly, we said earlier, you wait, and sometimes you're too late.
And here comes Cruz, wants to take this one home. Remember, he scored well early in this round, having scored the knockdown in the 9th round. We'll take a short break and then come back and hear from the judges. In the 6th round, it was Burgos able to score the knockdown against Cruz. But then came the 9th. Cruz gaining momentum. ESPN Friday Night Fights is presented by Corona Extra, proud sponsor of Friday Night Fights, and as always encourages you to relax responsibly. And by Just for Men, knocks out the gray better than ever. They got the Trotters and Pacers going nearby, just outside, and we're inside the Grand Ballroom here at Dover Downs Hotel and Casino, where Cristobal Cruz and Juan Carlos Burgos went the full 10.
Well, early on, little work on the outside by the taller, younger Burgos, but all of a sudden, Brandon started getting in. When he got in, he paid a little price there with the left uppercut. He goes down, but he would get up.
That was a 6th-round knockdown by Burgos. Then the punch of the night, brought to you by Just for Men, came about in the 9th round by Cruz.
Nice and short. Half of a hook, half of a jab, and a complete knockdown. Right on the chin, and that's where you're aiming.
Let's show you the statistics compiled by CompuBox. Total punches. You see Burgos 516 to 386. Percentage landed was comparable. Teddy's scorecard, keep in mind you have the two 10-8 rounds being swapped. A slight edge for Cruz, 95-94. Let's hear from the judges, and for that we send it to Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards, and both judges, Julie Letterman and Steve Weisfeld, are in agreement, scoring it the same, 96-92, and Judge Pierre Benoist scores it 98-90, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, and still WBC Silver Junior Lightweight Champion, Juan Carlos Mini Burgos.
98, 90, did I hear that right?
Yeah, that's what he read.
90?
That's a little tough to swallow for me.
Wow.
98-90. Unanimous decision win for Juan Carlos Burgos. Went down there in the 9th round.
Like Denzel Washington said in that movie. Wow.
What'd you think of Burgos tonight compared to the fighter that we talked about coming in?
I wasn't impressed.
Nor was I.
To be quite honest with you. You know, he's a fighter. He's in there. He got dropped. He got up. He behaved the way you want him to behave, but he's got long arms and he doesn't use them enough.
So he moves his mark now to 29-1. Cruz 39-13-3 now.